Welcome to the Small Town Creepy Podcast. This is Dex, your guide to all things horror, and tonight we are talking with Nico Bell, author of Static Screams. I'm super excited about this interview. Nico and I had such a great time chatting about horror, our backgrounds in romance, and more, and I think that you're going to enjoy it as well.
I'm Nico Bell. I am a horror and sci-fi author and editor. I've written a couple of different books, but I have a new one coming out that's a sci-fi horror novella. It's coming out on March 6th, 2024. It's called Static Screams. I should probably do the title. It's called Static
Maybe. I'd throw that up.
Super good at self-promotion.
That's good. Okay, yes. So you do have a book coming out, Static Screams. I just read Static Screams, and it was excellent. So I'm really stoked to have you on here.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
So tell us about Static Screams, since, we're doing great with the promotional stuff already.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it's about a young woman who has these hallucinations. Her name is Carmen, and she has been having these like black dots, these little static dots in her vision for a while, and she ends up seeking help through a psychologist who has a miracle cure that sounds too good to be true, and it is. And so a lot of horror unravels and sci-fi elements unravel as Carmen tries to navigate this treatment, quote unquote, and she tries to survive it. So that's basically what it is.
I love it. So I saw Static Screams on Blue Sky, where you were posting, and the cover is amazing. The choice for the cover is fantastic, and I was immediately like, "Oh, what is this?" Now, what I thought was so intriguing about this book is the choice of the static, the black dots of being what she sees. I don't know if I should give away like what it is that she's actually seeing, but it is a paranormal novel. Why the choice of black dot static versus any other trope that she might be seeing?
You know, the black dots, it was two things. First of all, I see black dots because I have migraines and like I'm constantly seeing them zip across, and I legitimately cannot tell if they're real or not, like if there's gnats or a bug or it's just my migraines. So I'm constantly like whipping my head around and asking people if they saw that. And so I was like, that would be a fun thing to put into a story one day. And then it kind of worked out, even though we won't say like what she sees. The idea of dots and particles works well with the theory of what the wicked scientist, psychologist thinks that Carmen's hallucinations are. So it kind of all tied in together, which I appreciated. I thought it was kind of fun to put something that I experience, and I'm sure others do too with migraines, into a horror story.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Now it's making me think about my partner has migraines and he sees like wavy lines and stuff and auras, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's fantastic.
It's so weird. It's hard to tell like what's real and what's not real. Like what's it's very strange. So
migraines are very like other than the pain that a lot of people deal with, like there's a lot of horror around that too. I have his family all gets the same kind of migraine, and one of his family members goes blind when she has hers.
Oh yeah, I've heard of like, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So that's that's some horror fodder right there, just in and of itself,
for sure.
Without even bringing in paranormal and all just that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I was going to ask you like where the inspiration came from for that, but like that's awesome. So one of the things I'm trying to figure out, like, because there's so much I loved about this. Like, what part do I want to like ask you about first? One of the biggest things about this book I did not even realize until I was almost done with it. This is a book almost entirely populated by women.
It is. Yeah, I'm so, you know what?
Was
I am so glad that you like put that in the review and like picked up, because I love when people pick up on it. With like all, like most of my stories and most of my books are very much all, if not heavily, populated by women. So I always like when somebody like notices and says it. It just makes me happy that somebody like realized it at some point. You know, there's so
what
many
I
books
thought
out there
was
that are all men.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, what I thought was so neat about it too is it doesn't call attention to itself in that at
Yeah.
all. Like I said, I was almost done. I was almost completely done with this book, and I just stopped and went, "Is everybody a woman?" And then I went back through. And I was like, "There's only one man." I'm in awe. This is fantastic. But yeah, I just like this didn't even call attention to itself. That as it's an all women book, it
Yeah,
just is, and I love that.
oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, when I first started writing, well, first of all, I started in the romance, and then I switched to horror. And when I was doing horror at the beginning, I realized that I was writing a lot of stories heavily male. Like I was writing
Mhm.
men protagonists, and there was only like one or two females. And when I was reading horror books, I realized that I was reading books by men, heavily populated with men characters, and there was only like one woman, and she was blonde and voluptuous, and she would just like wag her
Mhm.
finger at the men. You know, it was very much like, really, we're still doing this. And I
Mhm.
kind of like vowed that I wouldn't put a man in a story unless I absolutely had to. Unless like there was a real reason, and I felt like he had to be a man to like tell his point of view. And even with the stories that I have more men in them, they don't end up in happy places in the stories. But it's not like I'm out to like kill off all the men characters. I just
Mhm.
feel like we can certainly flip this all men narrative around. You know, like horror doesn't have to be all, written
Mhm.
by men with just that one stereotypical woman
Right.
in it. So that's really like my mission when I like got started. So yeah, you will definitely see my first book I ever wrote was the same way. There is one mention of a boy, I think, just the one. The next one there I think is like two guys in it. And even my open house book, it's called Open House, and it's a male protagonist, but it's really a story about women. So yeah, I definitely write for women more. Although I think men or individuals who are non-binary would enjoy it as well, hopefully.
Oh
But
yeah, of
but
course. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I just thought it was so neat because it just like you said, we see so many stories where there are very few women, and if there are women, they often fall into certain categories of like the mother or the love interest or the femme fatale, insert trope here. And there you play with a lot of traditional horror tropes in Static Screams. We have the
Hmm.
mad scientist, we have the henchman or henchwoman in this case.
Hmm.
We have the paranormal stuff going on. We have mental health discussion. And these are all tropes that people know and love. Like, they're tropes for a reason. I love it. But it's such an interesting play on it to have every single role filled by a woman. And I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think I love reading stories written by women. I've really turned the corner, and like I would much rather read a story written by a
Hmm.
marginalized author than a white man. Just because like those stories have been told for decades, you know?
Hmm.
So it's time to bring some new voices to the table and see what those characters do. So yeah, I'm excited that I get to be a very, very, very small part of this much bigger movement to kind of try to change horror just a little bit, change the faces of horror and the voices of horror.
I love it. I love it so much. the other thing I wanted to bring up with Static Screams is it's very tight, fast-paced story. Like, it's not just a short one, like book-wise. Everything seems to take place once it gets going within a matter of like a couple days.
Yeah, she had a really
It's
bad week.
yeah, it's very breathless almost, which I think as a reader I definitely felt that. Is there a reason why you chose to make it so fast rather than like string things along a little bit more?
You know, that is just as me as a writer, I'm still developing. Like that's like a skill that I'm still truly working on. I write novellas mostly so far because that's just sort of like how my brain processes stories. And so actually I'm working on a book right now that should be done next year. That's going to be an actual novel, my very first actual 80,000 word novel. And you know, my critique partners are like, slow down, slow down, slow down. You know, so it's not intentional that I end up with novellas. It's just I think my brain just naturally like wants to get to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff as quickly as possible. So this has been a challenge for me to like slow down and write a novel, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, but it definitely up until this point it's been very much like the short form literature that I've that I've been living in. The
I love
shorter
that.
word counts.
No, I mean that makes sense. I was just wondering if that was like a thematic thing that you wanted to bring in, but that makes sense too, yeah. Um the last thing I wanted to like make sure I touched on with Static Screams is so a big chunk of it, especially in the early beginning part, is about mental health. And the horrors that can come with mental health just by itself. You don't even have to bring other stuff in. You know, we were talking about migraines. You don't even have to bring in the other stuff to have it be horrific. What made you really want to tell the story of Carmen through the mental health angle versus just purely a paranormal focus?
So this is probably the most like personal story or the most you'll see of like the real me on a page story with the mental health aspect of it, the death of the mother aspect, how the mother dies, all of that. And I feel like I've really been walking this line of wanting to write a story like what Carmen's going through for quite some time. And if anyone, like my friends who have like read all my stories, I think they've seen like this progression of like, okay, every single story Nico writes has like a mother-child relationship that's turbulent, you know? And I feel like in Static Screams, like I'm finally like putting a lid on what I've been trying to say this whole time, but I haven't even been mentally healthy enough to get into the headspace to write about until now. So Carmen kind of represents a lot of what I have been through personally, what family members have been through personally, what a lot of me and my family have said to each other, felt, you know. So it's very much a grief horror, a mental health horror. That is probably the most me that anybody's ever seen on a page. Certainly the most vulnerable I've ever been on a page. So yeah, that's really where it came from. It's a lot of like personal little tidbits all mixed in and wanting to share that and wanting to offer like some hope to those who have been experiencing similar grief, mental health issues and concerns of their own. So hopefully they'll read Carmen's story and take something positive away from it, like a story of resilience away from it. Or closure too,
Yeah.
I suppose.
I love that. And thank you for being so vulnerable with the readers in this book. I appreciate it as a reader, and I know that can be really hard. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was an interesting experiment. Nobody's read it. Actually, nobody in my family has read it yet. So
oh,
it
that'll
will
be
be
interesting.
it will be an interesting. I don't know. Maybe I just will quietly not like tell them about the publication. We'll just
Silent
like
publish.
brush this one under the table.
What book? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, exactly. I
Exactly.
love it. Um, I had another question and it just went out of my brain. Oh, okay. I can edit this out. So if you're like, nope, we're not going there because it's spoilers, feel free. Is there a reason why you decided to have a happy ending in this book?
Yeah, that was a good one because Carmen had been through a lot, and there are versions where it wasn't a happy ending. But honestly, I think she had just been through too much. And I wanted her to have hope that there was going to be something good after all of this. There was going to be closure, and that there was going to be some type of justice, and there was going to be some type of um like that she would be able to continue on and have the dream life that she'd always wanted. I think part of that came from like my own mental health journey and the struggles that I had gone through with depression and grief, and then being able to come out on the other end of that, not in a week, in many years it took. But but I think that because Carmen is so reflective of me in a way that I haven't written a character before, that I'm in such a good headspace that I wanted her to be in a good headspace too. I wanted her to end up and be hopeful that life will get better now. Yeah.
I love that. That's fantastic. And I was commenting to a friend of mine because we were talking about the horror stories that we've read this year, and yours and another I've read both had happy endings, and I was like, I love it. Because so many people think horror must have a sad ending, must have a horrible ending for it to be horror, and I'm like, no. Sometimes the trauma we bring with us into a happy ending is enough. Like, it doesn't have to be death and despair.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes we need an uplifting end, a little bit of light from all of the trauma and darkness that our characters go through and then we go through. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So, what horror inspirations did you like? I know. Oh, no, wait. Take that back. I actually want to ask something else first, and we can get to that. So, you said that you started out in romance, which so did I, by the way. I think that's awesome.
Yay! That's exciting.
In fact, a lot of my friends who are wanting to get into writers, I'm like, go write smut first. Trust me, you'll feel like you can write anything if after you write a few smut stories. Why did you make the switch? And do you feel like your horror benefits from starting in romance first?
Yeah. So I started in romance because I really wanted happy endings. I like romance stories. I like the formulaic formula.
Formulaic. The formula.
Formulaic, yes. I like that. I like knowing exactly how the story's going to progress. And it was like, about 15 years ago that I was starting to do this, and it was a comfort to be able to write and read in that genre, and I really loved it. And it's fun. I mean, there are sex scenes in horror too, but like there's very different sex scenes in romance,
Yep.
fun, and it's lighthearted and it's still deep and emotional, but it's a very different headspace than writing horror. So I enjoyed it. And what I ended up doing was switching into inspirational romance, but I was writing pro-queer romances in the Christian romance world, which, surprise, surprise, did not go over very well. And so that didn't last long. But I think I was always a horror writer at heart. I just didn't have the ability, the mental space to write that, because it does take a bit of a toll to be in those dark corners of your mind when you're writing this type of stuff. And I just wasn't ready for it at that time. And then as I started to heal, my stories got darker and darker, and my romance critique partners were like, you got to stop killing people. Like, this is not a book to be killing people. Why? Because every single time I sat down to write a book, I was like, okay, the hero's going to die. And they're like, no, rule number one, heroes don't die in romances. Happily ever after.
You could bring him back. It depends on the subgenre.
Yeah, I know, right? She could marry a ghost. It's fine. I've read plenty of books like that.
Right, exactly. She'll be fine.
Exactly. What type of romance did you write?
Oh, I published contemporary erotica.
Nice.
That was about and catered to geeks.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So and they're out there. I'll send you links afterwards.
That would be so
And
fun.
the stuff I didn't publish was dark romance. It was,
Yeah.
slash and gore, and the main characters were hot for it. And my friends were like, I'm like, look, there's a whole group of people out here who read this. So
The
no, I'm all about it.
horror romance is really having its moment in the spotlight.
Yes.
There are so many imprints coming out. Like, I want to jump on this train so much because there's so many imprints that are coming out in 2024 for horror romance and like erotica horror. I'm like, yes, like let's do this. Where is
The
this
blessings of TikTok. I'm telling you.
Yes.
Like, the horror girlies and the romance girlies got together and were like, let's no longer hide the fact that we are watching Michael Myers and going, you know?
I love like the fan art of Michael Myers, like sexy Michael Myers or sexy Jason.
Sexy Jason is a whole thing. Yep.
So funny.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can't wait. I cannot wait for like the big boom of horror erotica or romance to come out. It's coming next year. It's coming.
I'm so stoked for it. It's the reason why I have a section in my Discord for spicy horror. I was like, let's just talk about it, guys. It's not even a guilty. I'm not guilty of it anymore. It's just a pleasure. Like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah, and I always recommend around this time of year, like Sonora Taylor wrote this Krampus erotic story, and it's so amazing. It's so amazing. Like, the protagonist falls for Krampus. There's like this whole scene. It's perfect holiday fun. I mean, it's just, it's perfect for the Christmas season. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. It's so fun. It's a good mix.
I just got done because Halloween season. I was like, so Scream for Us, which has new fan art out, by the way. Definitely go check it out on Instagram and Patreon. And then The Halloween Boys by Kat Blackthorne. I was like, yes. Yep. I'm here for it. Let's do this.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We're talking about your book. Let's get focused.
There is no erotica, unfortunately.
No, but hey, she was really like, I love the little daydreams about her and her future wifey. Like, yes, I'm here for that too. Give me the soft stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she wants. She wants a connection and family and someone that's going to love her unconditionally. So that is also very important. Yes.
It was so squish, and I was like, oh, my heart, she's going to die.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. don't do this to me. Like, I was, It was a ride. It was an emotional ride the whole time.
Good,
and in fact, I'm not gonna lie, when you first introduced oh shit, the name left me. The henchwoman,
Nima?
Barbara's. Yes. You introduced Nima and I was like, I ship it. I was like, wait, no, wrong genre.
It's so, like, Nima, I love Nima, and I actually feel like I did her a disjustice. If there was anything I could do differently, I would give her a lot more page time. Because originally there was a romance subplot, and I
knew it.
I knew, yeah, it really was. And they kind of became friends, and then they wanted to be together. But it's hard, because Nima is really tangled up in this world that this evil scientist, psychologist has created. So... yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the one thing that I wish I had given her. I wish I had given Nima more of her subplot, more of her romance. But I think maybe one day I'll go back and write Nima's story, like a little, I guess, what happens next with her, but also have like how she got to where she was and how she ended up in such a dark place and working for such an evil person. And so maybe she'll get her story that way. But yeah, even when I was like editing the last round, I was like, oh, should I go back? Like, I kept going back and forth. So I do feel like that's the big regret I probably have, is that I didn't develop Nima as much in this draft.
So you listeners heard it here, fans of Static Screams heard it here, that Nima and Carmen is canon.
Yeah, that's right. That is exactly right.
That's what you're taking from this. That's what I'm taking from this, is it's canon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, we're seeing all these really cool tropes in your book. Mad scientist, paranormal. What inspirations from horror do you have? Like what do you find inspiring in horror? It doesn't have to be movies or books, it can be anything in the media.
I like characters that are like, my favorite movie is Midsummer, because I like when a character starts so far away from where they end. Like, I like asking, like, what would it take for this character to, like, kill their boyfriend, or something like that. Do something so far outside of the realm of possibility. How far would this character have to be pushed? Like with Midsummer, like, Danny goes on such a ride, and it's so believable that by the end, when she's like allowing her boyfriend to die, you're like, yeah, that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
So I love stories like that. I love when these characters have come so far, and it's so believable and realistic, and I just like I like pushing them and seeing what it takes for, like, an ordinary person to do something so that they never ever thought that they would ever do. And so any horror that taps into that, like a lot of the A24 movies, kind of like tap into human nature and things like that, like, that really fascinates me. That seems weird to admit now that I'm saying it out loud.
No, that tracks. I'm over here like, I gotta have her back on here to dissect Midsummer with me. Like, this is gonna happen. I love that movie, and I agree with you. Like, that journey, I love seeing that journey, not just in Midsummer, which is just peak. I love it, but also in certain books and all that. I mean, I think even some of the most popular horror novels, like The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
What would it take for a dad to kill his child?
Yeah.
Who loves his child. Now, we don't get it in the movie, like the Cooper, I have my issues. But in the book, he actually was a decent father.
Yeah.
And loved his kid. So what would it take for him to want to kill his kid? Like, that's a journey. And, like, that's why it's terrifying. That's why the book is terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, an ordinary person, somebody that we all know, and then to go so far to the extreme. It's like an interesting case study, like a psychological case study on what, makes somebody do that, how far to push somebody. So that's always been like that's so weird to say, an inspiration, but that's always been like intriguing to me, because I like slasher movies, of course, but I feel like that character, the final girl, is obviously going to fight for her life, So her journey from, cheerleader to fighting for her life is very quick. But like Danny in Midsummer, that takes a very long time for her to get to a point where she's like, all right, go put him in a bear suit, And so that's interesting to me, yeah.
Just like how you said that. That's great.
Shove him in the bear, it's fine. Sew him up.
It's fine.
Yeah.
This is fine.
So, yeah.
Little shrooms, little punch. We're good.
Oh man, yeah, the drug aspect is so interesting. Yeah, I love that movie so much. I could talk about that movie for hours. Every time
I'm gonna have you back. We're gonna dissect Midsummer. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
And so is that where you got Barbara from? Is like from that kind of case study?
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a woman, and we find out very quickly, like, this is a woman who has lost her child. So that's not a spoiler or anything. She lost her child, and she's grieving in a very unique, destructive way. And you have to think, like, okay, well, if you lost your child, then what would you do to handle your grief? How far would you go to find some sort of peace or happiness, or, what would you do? So that's usually where I start with characters, and just keep pushing and pushing and push their buttons. And then, see what they do. Usually it's something very destructive.
Yeah.
Something not great. Not great.
Something
not great.
Right. Well, I mean, going from there, though, your Static Screams makes a lot of themes and really commentary about the concept of power that I find very interesting. You know, and again, these are all women, which is a whole other aspect of trying to obtain power in this world. Like you can't even. I mean, like I said, it took me a while to figure out it was all women, but even from the aspect, like we do live in a world where that's not the most empowering gender to be, and in this book we have three women specifically who are all trying to empower themselves one way or another. Not usually the best way, but here we are. And I love that. I love that you're playing with that. Was that like a conscious, I'm going to write a book about these power dynamics, or was that just something that developed?
I think it was something that kind of developed. Although, if I look back in my stories, there's definitely always a matriarchal older woman who is unfortunately evil, but the most powerful of the group. Now, if you talk to my therapist, you would probably figure out why that is the case. But that does, now that you mention it, it does seem to be a pretty common characteristic.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into a self-analysis situation.
That is funny though, but yeah, and it is interesting because Barbara also wants power in her career, and she is somebody who has been overlooked, or she feels she's been overlooked. She feels like nobody has really given her due, and she is a bit power hungry to step out and show all of her colleagues that she is a visionary. So that was another element too that I found to be fun to kind of play around with. Yeah, I think it's fun to kind of explore the power dynamics between women and so I'm glad that people have found that aspect of the story interesting for sure.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of Victor Frankenstein vibes in Barbara. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, I know we talked about Midsummer being your favorite. What are some of your other favorite horror books or movies?
Horror books and movies. So yeah, Midsummer is definitely number one. But I I just watched Get Out again, and I love that movie so much. It was so incredible, so spooky. See, and it's another one of those like kind of slow burnish ones and character-driven ones and social commentary. But I also have a side of me that loves 80s horror, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Truly brilliant. I love the Leprechaun movies. They don't age well, but boy, are they fun. Like Leprechaun in Outer Space, I mean, you have to just sit there like laughing the whole entire time. It's wild. So I have like a love for both ends of the horror spectrum. And then I read a lot of indie authors. I really like Haley Piper and V. Castro. They write beautiful, beautiful work. Like I wish I could write as lyrical and impactful stuff as them. They're just so incredible. If anyone has never read their books, they absolutely should. They're just really
definitely.
Yeah.
Haley Piper is definitely in my probably my top 10. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
For good reason. Like, her books. So Static Screams is coming out. What was the date on that again? March. That's right. That's right. I knew it was the 6th, but I was like, what is it? What month was it? I lost it. What else is coming up for you and your fans?
So my goal in 2024, I'm going to be finishing my first novel, which is going to be about a woman and her. Well, I don't even know how to it's going to be fun. It's going to be erotic. There's going to be a lot of eroticness in this as well.
Here for it.
Yeah, a lot of devourers. That's the word. That's the theme of this book, is devour. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And my other big goal for 2024 is to figure out how to make my first book, Food Fright, into a movie. And I have some ideas and stuff going on with that and trying to make that a reality. So that's kind of like back burners. But I also really would like to work on a climate change horror short story collection that's been on the back burner for a while. I think I could probably get that out in 2024. So those are my goals. We'll see how it all pans
Those are
out.
big goals. Those are huge goals. Those are goals that like will take a couple of years on. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of the direction I'm moving in now. I'm trying to move more towards novels and getting Food Fright into a movie and just sort of moving towards some different horror that I haven't written before. So I'm pivoting a little bit. Yeah.
I love it. That is fantastic. So was there anything else you wanted to make sure that we discussed before we wrap this up?
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. Thanks for reading Static Screams. I really appreciate it.
I loved it. Thank you for letting me read an arc of it because it was fantastic and I really needed it after some not so fantastic readings.
Yeah.
Um, so where can people find you online?
Well, I have cut back quite a bit. The mass exodus of social media
Yes.
unfortunately has hit all of us very hard. So now I am on Blue Sky and TikTok and Instagram. That's really it. But I have a website, Nico Bell Fiction, and on the socials, it's all the same, Nico Bell Fiction, and that's where you can find me most.
Awesome. So that way people can go and find your work and all this other cool stuff that you're talking about doing. And do their internet stalking alongside with me. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for being on my podcast, and thank you for letting me read Static Screams. I cannot wait to see what else you're putting out there. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.